South Carolina and Vandy set to do battle as the Gamecocks look for back-to-back wins for the first time this season. And this game truly, guys, and I don't say this disrespectfully, it's just calling it what it is. It is the battle of the bottom of the barrel. Two of the worst teams in the SEC, not by opinion, by statistic. You look at the numbers across the board. Both of these teams rank near the bottom or at the bottom in most major statistical categories. What's interesting, guys, about this matchup, of course, you got to go to the streak. That's where you have to start because it's been death, taxes, and Gamecocks football beating Vandy. South Carolina looking for their 15th straight win, which you may look at that and say, Chris, it's Vandy. No, duh. But when you think about the ups and downs of South Carolina football, when you think about the roller coaster that it's been, right? I mean, the Gamecocks have changed coaches. They've lost to FCS opponents. I mean, it has been the best of times, and I mean some of the worst of times. And yet, through all of that, South Carolina, no matter what, has managed to beat Vandy. Again, you look back at some of the closer results, my mind immediately goes to 2015. Sean Elliott's first game, right? Steve Spurrier retires, programs in complete disarray. That would have been a great opportunity for Vandy to win. South Carolina escapes. 2016, year one of the Will Muschamp era. It takes an Elliott Fry field goal to win that football game. 2019, South Carolina was a 4-8 football team. Still found a way to take down the Commodores. Heck, 2020, South Carolina was a 2-win football team. Fired their head coach. Still found a way to beat Vanderbilt by 40 points. And then 2021, the Gamecocks are dead in the water. I remember sitting in the stadium, guys. I was sitting next to a pair of former players who left the game early. They said, Chris, I can't watch this. I can't watch the end of it. Sure enough, insert Zeb Noland, and the rest is history. So no matter what has happened, South Carolina has found a way to beat Vandy. Now, on the Vandy side of things, they've been one of the most, believe it or not, disappointing teams in the SEC this season. This is a team that obviously late last year, they beat Florida, they beat Kentucky, they go 5-7. They were the hot pick over the offseason, over-under total wins set at 3.5. You know, everybody out there saying, that's the easiest bet of the summer. Take the over, hammer the over. And now Vandy sits in a position where more than likely, unless they pull a massive upset, they are not going to get there. And this season is going to be viewed as a step back for Clark Lee, who I'm a really big fan of. I like Clark Lee a lot. But it's been a rough season, no doubt. And it started early, struggling against Hawaii. You go on the road and you lose to UNLV, which was a brutal game. You got blasted by Wake Forest. And, you know, SEC play, obviously, guys, has given you no relief, if you will. There's been a couple moments where Vandy has shown signs of life, right? Early in that game against Georgia, they played Florida tough early. You know, outside of that, though, guys, it's been really, really tough sledding for the Vanderbilt Commodores. And again, they come off a game, guys, in which Vandy, you know, had Auburn in their home field, an Auburn team that is not good offensively, and they went up and down the field on them. Vandy's defense, they can't stop anybody. They can't stop anything. You want to throw it, you can throw it. You want to run it, you can run it. Vanderbilt is not good at any particular thing defensively. And on the offensive side, they can throw it okay, right? They've got two good weapons on the outside, two really good weapons, I should say. Will Shepard and Jade McGowan. South Carolina will have to account for both. The quarterback situation, kind of somewhat been crazy this year with Ken Seals and A.J. Swan both shuffling in and out. I think that being an attempt to spark something on the Commodore side. And then Cedric Alexander has tried to lead this rushing attack, but to no success. 93 yards per game is what they're averaging, which is easily dead last in the SEC. And guys, they are even worse in conference play when it comes to running the football. Admittedly, after last weekend's game against Jacksonville State, maybe I was part of the miserable existence crowd, per Shane Beamer, but I was not filled with joy. And so it was really easy to look at the rest of the season and look at the Vanderbilt game in particular and say, man, all of a sudden, that game looks like it could be a struggle. That game looks like it could be way too close for comfort. Heck, maybe this is the year that Vanderbilt pulls the upset. And guys, at some point, hate to play spoiler, but at some point, Vandy's going to pull the upset, right? At some point, they're going to. And when they do, it's going to be an upset, and it's not going to make any sense. That being said, guys, that Jacksonville State team that South Carolina just played, we said it all week, really good football team. I think they would beat Vanderbilt by double digits. I really do. I think they'd beat Vandy by double digits. And so, as I just mentioned, the streak is going to be broken at some point. South Carolina is not just going to beat Vanderbilt forever, right? The streak's going to get snapped at some point. But I don't think it's going to be this year. Vanderbilt is a team, they don't do much of anything well. And I know that South Carolina has their own problems, has their own deficiencies, but I just do not think Vandy has the talent to expose South Carolina in all of their problem areas. You want to run the ball on Vandy? You can run the ball. You want to throw the ball on Vandy? You can throw the ball. Defensively, guys, they have no answer. And while I know the weather calls for a rainy, cold day, I don't think that's going to be enough to slow down Spencer Rattler, Xavier Legette, Mario Anderson, and that offensive attack. I think it's a banner day for the Gamecocks offense. And I still don't trust the South Carolina defense. I still don't trust Clayton White with everything I've got. But the good news is Vanderbilt can't move the football, guys. They're one of the worst in the country at turning the ball over. So don't be surprised if South Carolina doesn't score multiple turnovers in this game as well, building off what they did last weekend. And I do think it's going to be somewhat of a higher scoring game because I do expect Will Shepherd, Jade McGowan. I think they'll hit some shots. I think they'll hit some big plays. But I just don't think Vanderbilt has the firepower to keep up with South Carolina in this football game. And I think the Gamecocks will make it 15 consecutive wins over the Commodores. Guys, lock me in. I've got South Carolina 41, Vanderbilt 24. Again, guys, in a game that I think South Carolina will pull away. I think they're in control for the majority of this game. And again, guys, after that game ended just under a week ago, did I expect that I'd be picking South Carolina to cover the spread? Maybe not. But when you look at the numbers and you look at the football team, guys, Vandy has been so underwhelming all year. And South Carolina has real problems. Make no mistake. And South Carolina is not a good football team. Make no mistake. But they're still not at the level that Vandy's at, which is really, really, really low. So I do think South Carolina will be the lesser of two evils. I think the Gamecocks will stay out of the cellar, and I think they will get their 15th straight win against the Vanderbilt Commodores.